I was impressed with that move you pulled. Bang.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's me, it's G, it's DMC, the undefeated, undisputed YouTube champion. That's right, it's the Maverick, Mark Daniels. And we're going to give one more spin because it's been a little while. My God, has it been a while. And I am back, baby, and better than ever, as Eric Bischoff's entrance music would say. Man, it feels good to say that. It feels good to be back. I have been on a little bit of a hiatus. I will have a video explaining why. Probably coming up today, maybe tomorrow. Basically, the long story short on that, the scuttlebutt on it is that basically my internet, which is Suddenlink, not to shit on them, but they kind of did me a pretty hard disservice. Their internet just wasn't working for me. It's crazy because I just updated it, and we're going to talk about that another time. But the long story short is basically my internet would be connected, and then it would disconnect every few minutes. It was very hard for me to do anything on the internet, especially on the long term, and I couldn't really upload videos because anytime I would try to upload a video, it would basically stop part of the way through, and I would have to start the upload process all over again. But now my internet's back up. It seems to be a little more consistent. It's not at 100% yet, but it's gotten a lot better. It's got at least usable. But we're going to have a video coming out about that. But first and foremost, what a time to be back. TLC 2017. We have predictions here. We're going to talk about meningitis. We're going to talk about Finn Balor. We're going to talk about Kurt Angle. I'm going to get to those when we get to their matches. But what a crazy situation we're in where, honestly, the pay-per-view was a little underwhelming. We had two title matches, and honestly, one's the women's title match, and as much as I like and respect Mickie James, I just don't see her as a credible contender with the way they treated her in the last year. On SmackDown and on Raw when she got traded over. In fact, I almost kind of forgot she was on Raw because she was never on television. And the other title match is a rematch for the Cruiserweight title match between Enzo and Kalisto. And for the most part, I agree with the majority here in saying that Kalisto, hashtag not my Cruiserweight champion. I actually been a big fan of what Enzo's been doing. Unfortunately, I never made a video on that, so you guys don't know that, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. But first, I want to take the moment to talk about meningitis and why meningitis just became the biggest babyface in all of wrestling. So for a moment, I would just like to give a moment to meningitis, and a well-deserved, you deserve it, give it a fair chance as it deserves. Meningitis, meningitis. No, it's honestly, joking aside, it does suck that, two guys got sick off meningitis. 3 if you count Bo. Obviously, if you don't know, Bo and Bray Wyatt, they're brothers, first and foremost. If you didn't know, I'm sure you knew that. Secondly, they were both sick, which is why they've been off television. The Miz brought it up a few times in promos, and I think the only thing Bray ever did was backstage pre-recorded segments, him doing the Sister Abigail thing, which I know a lot of people are pretty excited not to have to sit through a cross-dressing Bray, although I don't think that's exactly what's going to happen, but to be honest, I don't know what's going to happen with that. I am intrigued with that, but I'm also kind of nervous about that as far as nervous for Bray's career. But man, meningitis is a bitch, isn't it? And now we got Finn Balor and Angle. We'll talk about those when we get to them. So first, I keep saying first and foremost, but the Shield reunion, I was going to make a separate video, honestly, talking about how I felt about the Shield reunion. But now that we're not going to get the Shield reunion, which I know kind of sucks for people that are excited about it, for me, I wasn't super excited about it. I was going to make a video basically talking about how this felt like filler to me, because it 100% is filler, because Brock's not on the card. They had to make something important for the card, and I guess they don't have enough faith in the Intercontinental Championship and The Miz to main event a show, although I'd be fine with that. They could have gone about it a lot of different ways. I think the Shield reunion just didn't feel organic. A lot of people thought that maybe this was a way to help get Roman Reigns over. I don't think that's the case. They know if they get out with Roman Reigns, he's not going to be over no matter what they do. This guy could come out and hand everybody in the crowd $100 and they would still boo the man. That's how much heat this guy has. And we can't change that any other way, and they know that. I don't think they're foolish enough to think that this would help. Not to mention, I think the Shield reunion was kind of already happening with Dean and Seth, that we had the big moment where the crowd popped big when they were fisting. in the middle of the ring, which let's keep it PG, guys. But when they did the fist thing in the middle of the ring, we the crowd popped huge for it, and it was a cool moment. We've already had that. We just had that too. So when Roman showed up, it wasn't as special and felt kind of underwhelming, in my opinion. Now again, that's just my opinion. You may feel free to disagree. Now you're going to hear some noise in the background. Unfortunately, my smoke alarm's battery is dying. I'm getting some batteries for it later today. Going to Walmart just to kind of commentate my life there. But so there's going to be a little bit of squeaky noise in the background. I apologize for that. Hopefully it's not too distracting. But I just couldn't help but make this video because it's huge news. I'm excited to be back. So let's get right into the predictions, guys. I've wasted a lot of time. Not sure how much time it is. I'm looking at my software. It looks like it's been about 5 minutes. So I apologize. I like to ramble a little bit. That's just kind of my style. So if you're new to my channel and you're new to what I do, I spend a lot of time on these videos as far as when I talk about the matchups, where I think they're going to go, why I think they're happening, storyline purposes. I like to talk a little bit more than just give you what my predictions are. But at the end of the video, if you just want to skip ahead to what my actual predictions are, I will rapid fire them. But you're going to miss out on a lot of content in terms of what I'm talking about. But that's okay. Feel free to do so. So first we have the pre-show match, which is going to be The Boss, Sasha Banks versus Alicia Fox. Throwaway match. I think Sasha wins this match, no question. Alicia Fox just be Sasha Banks to kind of make her look like a credible threat. I don't think they have any plans for Foxy, and honestly, Alicia Fox isn't a bad wrestler, and honestly not the worst wrestler on the Raw roster as far as the women go. But she's also not one of the top tier echelons of talent. She is getting up there in age a little bit, which isn't necessarily a negative. Now that Natalya is the women's champion, and she's up there as well. When I say up there in age, it's not really that old, but for WWE years, it's like she's like 100. This will be a very throwaway, it'll probably be like a 15-minute match, only because it's the only pre-show match on the card. They gotta stall for time. It's probably gonna be very slowly paced. I would imagine that there's probably gonna be a handful of botches in this match, but you know what? I forgive botches if they're trying to put in the work, and they may try to quote unquote tear the house down. We'll see. But I think Sasha wins this match. There's no question in my mind that Sasha does not win this match. Unless they're going to try and stall for time. And we'll get to the women's match, title match, which I'll be getting up here pretty soon. Stalling time for the big Asuka title win. Maybe we'll have an Alicia Fox versus Bliss match in the meantime, which kind of gives away my prediction for Bliss versus Mickie James. But I think it's pretty obvious. But speaking of Asuka, we'll jump right into it. Asuka versus Emma, the creator and innovator of the women's revolution in the WWE. It's all about her. But it's going to be all about Asuka this pay-per-view. This is a big debut. They've been hyping it up, and I'm glad they've been hyping this up, because one thing I feel like they've really been failing on in the WWE, calling up people from NXT, they throw them on the show expecting people to already be invested in them, when there's a good portion of the audience that don't even know who the hell these people are. There's going to be people that don't know who Asuka is. Now, to the more hardcore fan base like myself, maybe to you guys listening at home, they may seem crazy. Like, how do you not know who Asuka is? She's got this incredible undefeated streak, possibly the greatest NXT champion, period. Definitely the best women's champion, period. I know there's some debate about that as far as quality in matches. I think Asuka's awesome. But in terms of an actual streak, the title, the prestige behind Asuka, there's no one bigger from NXT yet, in my honest opinion, as far as hype goes. So they've been really hyping her up. They've made this a point to make this her debut. They had a #1 contendership match to see who faces Asuka, which is really cool. Kind of refreshing. I'm kind of excited to see Asuka in action. I'm excited to see her reception from the crowd. I just hope they don't do the same thing with Shinsuke, where all of a sudden now Asuka's got to be talking on the mic all the time. Keep her promos short and sweet. She's good at that. She's good at, telling you that she's the Empress of Tomorrow, that people are not ready for Asuka. We don't need sticks and stones may break my bone promos like we give Shinsuke. That's just killing the man's career. But Asuka's awesome. They got something special with her if they want to do something with her, and I hope they do. I think we're going to see Asuka just go through a few women, and then maybe at the Rumble, maybe at Mania, maybe even sooner than that. But I would like to kind of do a slower build with her, in my opinion. Even though she has this awesome winning streak, I think you give her a big payoff at like a Mania or something. Maybe, hopefully not on a Monday Night Raw like they did with Bayley. That pissed me the hell off. If you're a long-time listener, you know how mad I was when Bayley won the Women's Championship and beat Charlotte for the Women's title on Raw. And honestly, I think that really hurt Bayley a lot. But, you know what, speaking of the Women's Championship, let's talk about it. Obviously, Asuka's going to win. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. If Emma beats Asuka, wow. Good start, guys. Great start. Alexa Bliss versus Mickie James. This feud has been interesting. I like Mickie James a lot. I respect her career. She's had a very long career. Now, they have mentioned the 7-time Women's champion thing. She wins. She will be a 7-time Women's champion. I think she'd be the first in WWE history to be a 7-time Women's champion. Definitely won't be the last because Charlotte's going for the whole 16, but we'll see how that happens. She's already well on her way. But I could see that possibly happening because they like to break the records. But honestly, I don't see any purpose to that. I think you just have Alexa Bliss win the title and have her held on to the title until you get the big Asuka-Alexa Bliss match. I think Alexa Bliss might cheat to win, and I think that's fine. You have her, cheat to win, and then finally she meets the brick wall known as Asuka, and she won't be ready for Asuka because nobody is ready for Asuka. And I think that would be a fun match. I'm a big Bliss fan. She's probably my favorite woman, active woman on the main roster right now. Perhaps Asuka can change that because I'm a big Asuka fan as well. I would like to see this match, and it should be a big match, and it should be treated as a big deal. Next, we have probably the biggest throwaway match on the main card. It is a Cruiserweight Tag Team match. Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann, can you handle this? Versus Brian Kendrick, the man of the plan, and Jack Gallagher. What a weird state of affairs that heel turn is. I like Jack Gallagher a lot. I think he's awesome. He's got a unique look to WWE, a unique style to the WWE, because obviously there's people all over the world that wrestle like him, but not exactly like him, but they have a similar style. It's very European. But I think Gallagher versus Kendrick's going to win. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, on Raw, Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann beat them in a tag team match. I think Brian and Jack get the win back and continue their heel run. Maybe you add another person to the mix on their side of things. Maybe a Daivari, maybe a what's his name, the APAC guy. What's his name? Tony Nese. Maybe Tony Nese gets involved. I don't know. But I think maybe Umbrella, William III, maybe it gets involved. But I think Jack and Brian wins this match. Then we have Kalisto versus Enzo in a Cruiserweight title rematch. I like Kalisto. I liked him as Samurai Del Sol on the Indies. I think the guy has a lot of talent. I don't know what happened when he got to the WWE because it seems like he botches a lot of things. I don't know if it's nerves. If you listen to his promos, he definitely sounds nervous. They're trying to make this guy the new Rey Mysterio. It's so obvious. It's sad. Because there will never be another Rey Mysterio, just like there will never be another Kurt Angle, another Shawn Michaels, another Eddie Guerrero. It doesn't matter how many times you say you love and respect the guy. Sasha Banks, Kalisto, you two will never be Eddie Guerrero. Guerrero. Can I speak today? Do I know English? Guerrero. You guys will never be like him. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, he's his own man. And just like you should be your own man. And that's one reason why, hey, there's a big rumor that that's the reason why Dolph Ziggler's in the position he's in, because he tried too hard to be Shawn Michaels. Now, I can kind of see that, but at the same time, I think Dolph Ziggler, to me, is good enough to stand on his own 2 feet in terms of who his character is and who he is as a performer. But I could see the parallels between him and Shawn Michaels, absolutely. Obviously, a lot of the guys are going to emulate a little bit of some of the past talents. That's a good thing. They were successful for a reason. You hear a lot of the pros, a lot of the old-timers who may have podcasts that would say, hey, I know Steve Austin said a few times on his podcast in the past, hey, there's a reason why these guys were over. Watch tape. Watch it back. Learn from them. Grow from that. And that's what people like that are doing. But I'm afraid that people in the back are kind of petty and kind of weird about some things. So you got to be careful who you're emulating and what you're doing. But like I said, Kalisto will never be that guy. I think Kalisto needs to worry about being Kalisto. And we need to stop giving this guy the mic because he just can't cut it. Although I do think he should incorporate, let's do some lucha things. God damn it. I think that could be a pretty funny way to end his promos. Could give us some much needed character development. It'd be kind of funny to have a catchphrase like that. If this was the Attitude Era, which I know people probably get tired of hearing if you didn't grow up watching the Attitude Era. Just like when I was young, I got tired of hearing about the Golden Era and the days of Hulk Hogan. But as an adult, I can appreciate that stuff now. If this was the Attitude Era, that would 100% be his character as to do lucha things. Because it's funny and people can get behind something like that. Now, granted, when you do something like that, your ceiling becomes a lot lower in terms of how far you can go because you kind of become a bit of a comedy character. And as we know, especially in the WWE, comedy characters don't really take you too far, and for good reason. But is Kalisto ever going to be a world champion anyways? Probably not. Not unless he just goes through a massive transformation and can all of a sudden cut promos and can start wrestling a little bit less sloppy. He's a little sloppy jalopy, as Enzo would say. But this match could be pretty decent. I like Enzo a lot. I like the heat he's getting. I like his promos. The guy's killing it. I would like to see Enzo win the title back. I think the reason why they gave Kalisto the title originally was, for one, they kind of backed themselves into a corner when everyone attacked Enzo. Granted, they could have just said, "Well, Enzo, you're being a dick. You provoked them, so we're not gonna suspend them all. We're not gonna." Well, they didn't really get suspended, but we're not gonna take away their title opportunities because you're being a dick. But instead, they got the title off of Enzo so that now he can face anybody in the Cruiserweight division again. But on top of that, I think they wanted a title change on the show because this was a very underwhelming card at first. Now it's a bit more interesting because of the changes. But I think that Enzo wins the title back here, and he goes back to doing business because he's doing good business, in my opinion. Then we have AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. That is right. You didn't hear that wrong. We're not getting another Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor sleeper match where it's just putting me to sleep. We're getting an AJ Styles versus Finn Balor match, which could very easily be match of the night, possibly match of the year. We'll see. I'm not going to set my expectations too high because that's when you get disappointed. Because how many times have we been excited for an AJ Styles Kevin Owens match, for example? You would think of all the people on the roster, you put two people together, you make these dream match scenarios. They're going to be match stealers and match of the year candidates. AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens on paper sounds amazing. I don't know what happened. The chemistry may have just not been there. Sometimes that happens. The storyline was pretty whack. The fuck finishes were a little rough. Did all those things hurt those matches that much? Maybe. But I'm excited for this. Will the club get involved? I think that's the question now that's on everybody's mind because everybody's been wanting the Balor Club. Everybody wants the club back with AJ Styles. Will they just form their own faction? Will it be a 4-man squad? Maybe turn into a 5-man squad ready for Survivor Series? Will we have a Team AJ versus Team Finn Balor at Survivor Series? No, because I think AJ Styles is getting a shot for the world title at Survivor. No, that's not a Survivor Series. I take that back because Jinder Mahal is facing Brock. AJ Styles is getting groomed for the next SmackDown pay-per-view, which I don't know the name of. I don't know which one it is. Maybe it's like Night of Champions or something. But we're definitely going to see AJ Styles versus Jinder Mahal. They definitely foreshadowed that on SmackDown. But a Survivor Series, we could have a Team Finn versus Team AJ, maybe a Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. Finn recruits the club, so we could have some club AJ Styles fun. That'd be a lot of fun to see those two groups kind of meshing against each other and seeing what happens. Some interactions, if you will. We can get all kinds of great stuff. Maybe AJ Styles recruits. I don't know who he would recruit. Maybe Ty Dillinger, which is kind of probably one guy that would get eliminated early. That's fine. You got to have guys like that on your team. Maybe you get Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which I don't know. Maybe Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't know. There's a lot of awesome things you can do. I think Shinsuke would be a great teammate, by the way. Shinsuke and Finn Balor interaction could be a lot of fun. You can do a lot of fun with this. I think that AJ versus Finn has potential to open up a few other doors that weren't going to be open just yet. And that's actually kind of exciting for me as a fan. I'm excited as a fan of Finn and a fan of AJ Styles. Two guys who've been killing it for many, many years, mastering their craft. And I know Finn gets a lot of hate right now. I don't understand the hate for him because the guy is really good. It's just one of those bandwagon things that people do. And don't shoot me for saying that. That's just my opinion. I don't think there's any reason to hate Finn Balor. I get that his promos aren't necessarily the most exciting, but there are a lot of guys that don't cut exciting promos. I've seen a lot of people that will say Finn Balor is a boring person, yet they want to see Cesaro be world champion. And let me tell you something, I like Cesaro as much as the next guy, but the guy can't cut a promo, and the guy kind of is bland as well. Although I think his promos have been getting a little bit better now that he's been with Sheamus and really gets to cut his teeth into being a heel. That was not intended at all, that teeth pun, but you get where I'm going with that. But man, this is going to be a fun match. One way or another, I think maybe the club could make some sort of interaction here, maybe even just a backstage segment. There's got to be something with the club, right? They've got to do something with the club. If not, missed opportunity. But this will be a fun match. I think AJ Styles wins. We go to the classic, substitute wins the match type of scenario. You make AJ Styles look strong because, honestly, I don't know if Finn is going to be the next contender for the Universal Championship, but I do know that AJ Styles will definitely be the next contender for the WWE Championship, so he should definitely be the one that looks strong in this match. Although I don't think either guy's going to look weak because this match is going to be awesome. Now we have a match that's going to be interesting. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and the Olympic gold medalist himself, Kurt Angle, versus Miz, Cesaro, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and by God, it's got to be Kane. This was a weird match for me to begin with because you brought the Shield back for a filler match, and then oh shit, we don't have another three-man team that we can put them against. It's going to be exciting unless you're willing to pair up Finn Balor and the Club together, because I think the Club versus the Shield is a dream match that people would like to see. Either AJ Styles in the Club or Finn in the Club, or the New Day versus the Shield, which I think would have been a Survivor Series match. It still could be if Roman Reigns is not sick from meningitis. But I also thought that maybe this was a match that could set up a Survivor Series match, because if no one's sick, you would imagine that Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel also gets involved. So it would be a 7-on-3 match. And so maybe two other guys could come out to help them. Those two guys, who they would be, I don't know. I would say the Hardys, or I would say Jason Jordan and Matt Hardy would be my guesses. But now we have Kurt Angle. Maybe we'll see Jason Jordan get involved. Maybe the Survivor Series match now turns into the Shield, Kurt Angle, and Jason Jordan versus the Miz, Cesaro, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, and Kane, which would be a fine Survivor Series match if I've ever seen one. Except Roman Reigns has to beat 5 guys because we got to make him look strong. He is the big dog. Ooh-ah! Because that's what Roman Reigns does. But you know what? This kind of sucks in a way because this is Kurt Angle's re-debut since coming back to WWE. A little underwhelming, maybe, but at least it's an entry point. And then maybe at Survivor Series we can see Jason Jordan and Kurt Angle have a little bit of heat between the two if they're on a Survivor Series team. Honestly, maybe the original plan was to have Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan come out and help the Shield versus the 7-man squad and help the Shield win the match, and that sets up a Survivor Series match. We don't actually know that, but that's something that I'm willing to say this probably was going to happen, because when I first saw this, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Oh, they're setting up for a Survivor Series match, a Survivor Series, and that's exactly what it looks like they're doing. Mind me while I take a swig of some Mountain Dew. That's good stuff. Talking for a while hurts the throat after a while, so you gotta take a drink every now and then. But yeah, I think the Shield's gonna win this match. I call him the Shield even with Kurt Angle. This is Kurt Angle's big debut. Unless you really want to put heat on somebody and have them cheat, maybe a low blow by the Miz on Angle and Miz gets a victory there. That could be fun. Maybe Jason Jordan actually cost them the match by interfering, accidentally going for a clothesline on the Miz. Clotheslines Kurt Angle instead. 1, 2, 3. Jason Jordan just screwed over his pops, and now there's some dissension between the two. There's a lot you can do with this match, but I think you have the Shield win this match. The Shield and Kurt Angle. I try to think of a clever name with the use of the Shield and the Metal. Call them the Metal. There you go. They're no longer the Shield. They are the Metal, the Gold Medal, and the Gold Medal versus the team of Miz. I don't know what to call them. The Misfits. I don't think Braun and Kane will like that, but one thing though is for sure, I could see Braun Strowman and Kane becoming a tag team that could be a pretty good team. If you're not going to do something big with Braun, I'd be fine with that. Although, I kind of predict, this is going to seem weird to you guys, but we're going to have a Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar, champion versus champion. No titles on the line at Survivor Series. Probably going to be the main event, which could be a good thing. Maybe I could turn the show off early. No, I would watch. But I could see Braun Strowman or Samoa Joe destroying Brock Lesnar during this match while the referee's like knocked out or something to give Jinder the big win, but keeping Brock look strong and set up a match between Brock and whomever. That way they get their revenge and possibly maybe we can see Samoa Joe or Braun Strowman win the big one from Brock. Probably not, though, because we're looking at a Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar WrestleMania main event, which is something I don't want to see. You know what? I say I'm on the fence with that because some days I'm like, you know what? Their WrestleMania match is a great match. Even when you take Seth out of the equation, it was hard-hitting, it was fun. But at the same time, been there, done that, don't need to see it again 3 years later. Has it been 3 years? It's been close, too, if it hasn't been 3 years. I made that number off on the fly, so don't shoot the messenger because I'm willing to admit that that's not the real number. But yeah, this pay-per-view is interesting now. It was looking like a throwaway pay-per-view. It was looking like the big thing was Asuka's debut and the big Shield reunion, even though you stacked the odds against the Shield. It made them look like they were going to win, which they probably were. And Roman was probably going to beat the shit out of everybody. It was going to be a fun match. It still can be a fun match. This is the only TLC-related match, too, on the card, which is interesting. Normally they have a chairs match, a tables match, a ladder match, a stairs match, a Vince Russo on a pole match, whatever you want to put on the show, it would be on there. But only having one makes it feel more special. It does, but it's something you have to get used to, and you're going to have to make us used to that because we're used to seeing 5 different stip matches on the stipulation pay-per-views. I think it's time to get rid of these stipulation pay-per-views because they suck. And I've been saying that for years. I don't like the Hell in a Cell pay-per-views. Granted, I didn't get a chance to say this because my internet was fucking up and it makes me so sad. But right now, my match of the year is the Hell in a Cell tag team match. Possibly my favorite Hell in a Cell match of all time. But that's neither here nor there. The match was awesome, but the pay-per-view idea sucks because now, all of a sudden, you're kind of hindering these matches that should be feud enders and putting them strictly on these pay-per-views and putting them in throwaway matches that people shouldn't really care and really shouldn't have these type of stipulations on. And to me, it hurts the stipulation. It makes them less devastating, and it just sucks. Now, NXT does it right. They don't have very many of these special matches, but when they do, they seem big, right? Like when they have a cage match, it's like, wow, a cage match in NXT? Crazy. A ladder match in NXT? I think we've only had 2 of them. I think we had Finn Balor and Kevin Owens, and I think we had, was it Neville and Sami Zayn? Was it Neville and Sami Zayn? That a ladder match? A while back on NXT? The very first? No, was it Bo Dallas and Neville? Man, I wish I knew off the top of my head. I wish I could remember because I seem like a jackass. If only this man had Google at his fingertips here. Man, if only I had the Bo Dallas and Adrian Neville. Man, it feels weird calling him Adrian Neville. It was, and this was at February 27, 2014, NXT Arrival, first ever ladder match for NXT. And then we had Finn Balor and Kevin Owens. It feels special. Now we got the War Games coming up. Man, crazy. Crazy match stipulations, selling pay-per-views. Man, what a thought. Thank God it's not called... Well, actually, it'd be kind of cool if it was called NXT War Games. I'm not going to lie to you. But if you had a yearly pay-per-view called NXT War Games, which would still be pretty rad, because we haven't had too many of those, it could kind of hinder it a little bit. It could be like NXT Survivor Series. Actually, now that I think about it, I just contradicted myself because that sounds amazing. But if we had NXT TakeOver TLC every year, would probably not be as fun, right? To me, it wouldn't be as fun as just announcing randomly, hey guys, we're having a TLC match. What? We haven't seen one of those in 2 years. Now we see 5 of them every year. We see a big ladder match like once a year on a different pay-per-view, usually on WrestleMania for a Intercontinental title match or whatever. Then we see it at Money in the Bank, and then we see them on TLC. So we see that stuff like 3 times a year, and it's not special anymore. And it's usually the same guys. So I don't like these stipulation pay-per-views. I think they need to change. I don't know if they're just so uncreative they can't come out with cool wrestling-themed pay-per-views like Bad Blood or I don't know. I'm sure there's a bunch of names you can come up with that would be better than Hell in a Cell. Or I'm still waiting for them to rip off TNA. You know, where they have the Full Metal Mayhem pay-per-view specials, which I think suck as well. And have, you know, WWE presents Steel Cage. Every match is a steel cage. How shitty would that be? Just my opinion. Because it hurts those matches, man. It hurts the pacing of the pay-per-view, and I don't like it. So seeing only one TLC match on the pay-per-view, while weird, is also refreshing. But anyways, guys, I want to rapid fire through my predictions here. For those who wanted to fast forward through it, or for those who forgot, because I talked a lot. I've talked for 30 minutes. I thought it was 15 minutes, and I look at my timer, and it's 30 minutes. That is average for me because I make long videos because I like to freaking talk. So, pre-show match, Sasha Banks versus Alicia Fox. Sasha Banks is going to win. At least that's my prediction. Actual show, if Asuka versus Emma. Emma is not ready for Asuka. Asuka is going to win. Alexa Bliss versus Mickie James, Raw Women's Championship. Alexa Bliss. Cedric Alexander and Rich Swann. Can you handle this? Brian Kendrick and Jack Gallagher. I think they can because I think they're going to win. Brian and Jack Gallagher for the win. Kalisto versus Enzo Amore. Oh, Enzo Amore is my pick. I think he's going to get his title back. Then we have AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Will the club interfere? I hope so. But I think AJ Styles wins this match. The classic trope of wrestling. The substitute gets the victory. That way we don't know who's actually going to win because we're still going to get Finn Balor versus Sister Abigail. Probably at Survivor Series. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Kurt Angle. I'm calling them the gold medal versus the Miz Taraj, which is weird to call them that because you got the Miz, Cesaro and Sheamus, Braun Strowman and Kane. Here comes the pain. I think the medal is going to win. The gold medal. I think the gold medal sounds better than the medal. The gold medal is going to win this match. I think we might see Jason Jordan involved, and we may see Curtis Axel involved, but I think we'll see them involved regardless. And I think it's going to be awesome. And it's also a TLC match. The only TLC-related match on the TLC pay-per-view, while weird, is refreshing. I am kind of excited for this pay-per-view now because I'm curious to see what happens. I'm curious to see if the club gets involved. I'm curious to see how Kurt Angle looks in the ring. Is he going to do a crazy ladder spot? Probably. Please don't kill yourself, Kurt Angle, because we love you. And we want to see you wrestle at WrestleMania, whether it's against Jason Jordan or if you're going to wrestle a dream match like AJ Styles, which we've seen in TNA. Haven't seen in WWE, though. Maybe Kurt Angle versus Finn Balor. Maybe Kurt Angle versus superstar name here would be really awesome. Kurt Angle versus Seth Rollins, even though Seth Rollins versus Dean is probably going to happen at Mania. So many possibilities. Will Kurt Angle be in the Royal Rumble? Find out next time on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. And until next time, guys, I am the Maverick Mark Daniels. Bid you a farewell. Peace. I need to get one more spin, man, because I've been going through spin withdrawals, baby. We can do better than that. And one love.